Hello everyone, and welcome back to 4 Kilobyte Shorts, the Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program with Kerbal Space Adventures. As you can see, we're up here at the space station once again, and the votes have been cast. Well, they've sort of been cast. They have in fact been, well, I looked at how many people said what, and a lot of people said, you know what, we do like it when you bring Kerbals back. Some people said bring them back, but only show them when they die. Other people said bring them back, but continue talking about cool stuff. More people than not said show bringing them back. The only thing is I figured if I only showed them when they died, then you guys would know if a return continued, what the end results would be. So that wouldn't be any fun, would it? You guys would go, oh look, Kerbal's returning, he's gonna die, I gotta watch. So instead, I opted for the alternative, which of course is to bring them back regardless and talk about cool stuff. So in this case, we're going to talk about some cool stuff. And one of the things we're going to talk about is we have 3 open nodes, and we have a spaceship maker, basically, is what this is. Now, one of the nodes we could use fuel tanks. Fuel tanks would be very, very helpful in one of these nodes. An additional node would be parts and pieces for this little guy. And I wanted to take a look here. Okay, so it contains food, water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, waste, but it does not contain... it does not have parts and pieces for... Yes, okay, that's what I wanted to check while we were up here. And since Yuki's up here, we're going to go ahead and take Yuki back down to the surface of Kerbin. So let's go ahead and detach Yuki. Now, I've been having some trouble with the space station, which is kind of annoying me, which is the fact that the space station is continuously, and I don't know why this is, but the space station is continuously losing altitude. I don't know why that is. I don't have a mod installed that causes that to happen, but for whatever reason, the station is losing about 500 meters every few orbits, or like every time we connect or attach or so. I don't know what's going on, but it's really odd. But we're losing altitude, and that's really, 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 really bad. But we're got to change our view. There you go, free cam should rotate. So now we have a good view. All right, so let's go ahead and just we'll use our wrong thing. We will use our RCS, and we will slow ourselves down. But yeah, what's happening, bye-bye space station, is the station is, for whatever reason, it's losing about 500 meters every few orbits. I keep having to correct it and adjust it, which I guess is very realistic. It absolutely is very realistic, but it's not something that I had programmed into the game, nor is it something I had modded into the game, and it's actually causing me a little bit of undue stress because I'm not sure why that's happening. And if we don't put an engine on it, if we don't leave an engine on it that has fuel, in the future, especially if even if the space station is actually unbalanced, what will end up happening is everything will go bad. And like the space station will eventually fall out of orbit and everyone on board will die. Because we don't really have any escape pods or escape vessels. So we may have to add an escape vessel just in case so the Kerbals can come back home nice and safe. Don't know, we'll have to check. But it looks like we're down to 1800 meters, which is fine. We're going to keep the RTGs on just in case, and we're going to keep our fuel on just in case. I do want to stick our tail and our nose in the right place. So let's go ahead and fast forward as we come down. Okay, now we've entered the atmosphere, technically entered the atmosphere. I'll actually wait until we get a little bit lower before I remove our RTGs, because right now the only thing powering our vessel is our RTGs. So we're going to throttle up to, well, we're going to increase our math here to 4 times time acceleration. And we're just going to come on in, and it's going to be a little bit slow, but we're going to be okay. So yeah, some of the stuff I want to talk about when we get back to the station is we do need a place to put all of our parts. Now, I was thinking about it. Now, we can take up ore, metal, and rocket parts, but in all honesty, all we really need to take up is rocket parts. We do have a rocket part converter, like an ore to metal rocket part converter. So depending on what's lighter and what's better, we can take up either ore, metal, or rocket parts. But for the safety purposes and for the sake of the vessel, I think it might actually be better if we were to just take up rocket parts or something very similar. Maybe not just rocket parts alone, but something along the lines of rocket parts and possibly just metal rather than ore. Because bringing up ore, because with the tweakable system, this is what really makes a tweakable system awesome. With the ore containers, we can actually fill them with ore. We can fill the ore containers with ore. It's a really wonderful thing. The downside, of course, being that we have to, to convert stuff. I brought the converter up. I didn't even think about it before, but I brought the converter up, and in all honesty, we technically didn't even need the converter. We could have just brought up a launch platform with the what's what I'm looking for? well, the launch platform with a container, and that would have been fine. That would have been enough. But for whatever reason, I didn't even think about that until just now, just recently. I was like, oh, we could have brought up the rocket, or we could have just brought that up without the rocket converter or the conversion chamber. Vessel wouldn't have been much lighter. It would have worked just fine. But I don't know. It would have ended up being the same thing. So I'm not too concerned about it. But what I am concerned about is we are going to need, as I said, we are going to need to bring up. All right, I think this is good enough. So what we're going to do is we are now going to, where is our decoupler? It's this one. We're just going to decouple it manually, just for safety's sake. And so there that goes. And then we're going to turn ourselves into the skid, and then we'll turn off our SAS so that our heat shield can keep us rolling in the right direction. So yeah, we are in fact going to be bringing up something. I'm pretty sure it's just going to be rocket parts, or possibly metal and rocket parts. I'm not entirely sure which one's better. Rocket parts are lighter, but there are some really key oddballness about them. I need to redesign it in my head. But what we do need to bring up absolutely is a crew quarter for the crew, and living materials, basically a life support system. So we're going to try to bring those up next, and I have an idea of how to do that, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna do that not off camera, but we're going. Yeah, I probably won't show them off on camera, because to get it up there, we're basically going to be taking the 4-node system and adding all the little launch platform stuff to it. I'll probably show it to you guys in the VAD. That'd probably be the best way. I don't have it really designed in my head. I know what I want to do, and there's like 3 or 4 ways that I'm thinking about doing it, and because of that, I'm not entirely sure which would be the best way. There's probably not a best way, but I want to get as much stuff up as quickly as possible so that we can get the space station up and running, because with that space station, we're going to have to start building satellites, because that's our goal, right? Our goal is to build and launch remote tech style satellites. And that's going to be super awesome if we build functional remote tech satellites in orbit. And that's going to be super sweet. It's going to be super sweet. Especially, we do have to launch them. It's going to be a very unique location where we have to launch them. We have to launch them at the equatorial zone. It's really interesting. We have to launch them in equatorial zone so that we can get a geosynchronous orbit around Kerbin. So it's going to present a very interesting conundrum. I know we went into a polar orbit because that's how I always launch my space stations. But now that I think about it, I'm like, maybe a polar orbit wasn't the brightest idea, but it was just something that I always tend to do. Yeah, probably not the best idea in all honesty. But you know what? That's the way the cookie crumbles. That's what we figured out. If nothing else, we'll just jam a big old rocket on the side of the thing and push it out to wherever it needs to go, and do it that way while it's still light and able to be moved in such a way as that. Otherwise, who knows? But as you can see, Yuki's coming in nice and smooth. And so the next thing I think we're going to bring up there is probably the living quarters. If not the living quarters, then most likely the... Oh, no, that's the thing we need. I keep forgetting. We need power. So, yeah, we do need power. We're probably going to bring up... Yeah, power. Okay, we'll bring up power. Power is a good idea. Maybe we'll bring up power and possibly 1 or 2 containers. Now, the containers may contain food, or they may contain rocket parts, and I think if we're good, we can load them up with rocket parts. Now, remember, if we build a spaceship using the launch pad, we can only put in it what we have on the space station, meaning that if we build, even though we could build like extra containers on the space station with what we have on the space station, those containers will not be filled. So the best thing we could possibly I just had an idea. The best thing we could possibly build are containers that we can then refill with another vehicle, like a refueling truck or a refueling vehicle, which would bring up actual food and water and things like that. But I actually just had a really interesting idea of something we can do. So I think the most important part that we need next is a couple of containers of rocket parts, believe it or not. Along with those, we will also need a power generator. Once we get those up, we will actually have enough stuff in orbit to potentially complete the station without having to launch anything to it. And that's going to be really interesting if we can have a self-sufficient manufacturing plant on the station to where it can finish building itself. That would be like, wow, mind-blowing. That'd be so awesome, and I'm really super excited about that. So, provided Yuki lands... Is Yuki going to land like right in the water, or are we actually going to hit ground? It's hard to tell, but it looks like we're going to land in this little lagoon thing here. I always like landing in interesting places. One of the reasons I do like landing is I like landing in interesting places. One of the interesting places to land is like if you land in a lagoon like this, or a lake out in the middle of nowhere. I really haven't done it yet, haven't been that lucky. That's why I really don't aim. A lot of people will aim at like the KSC, and they'll aim at other places. They'll be like, oh, aim for the KSC, or oh, aim for this place. And I'm like, no, I don't want to aim for those places, because I want to hit something randomly. Now, from time to time, and I've done this, sometimes you'll hit a mountain. It's very rare, like slightly less rare than hitting a lake in the middle of a desert, but it's rare enough to where when it happens, it's interesting. But if you hit the side of a mountain, even with parachutes, you're most likely going to roll down the side of the mountain, and it's not going to end well for either you or the Kerbal. So because of that, it gets very sticky. So yeah, I think yes, as I was saying, I think our next point of business, excuse me, will be bringing up a power generator. It's going to be a nuclear powered generator, of course, for the interstellar pack. It's going to be a nuclear powered generator that's going to then take us into the future. It's going to be a nuclear powered generator, and then along with the nuclear powered generator, we're also going to take some other stuff. Now, I think this clamp here, this actually detaches from the base. Yes, so we no longer need that. So bye bye, little guy, and that should hit the water here in a minute. Zoom. Wow, that's really far, isn't it? Sploosh. Wow, that was really far. Alright. Now I'm going to do about 3 times time acceleration because 4 times and the parachutes tend to break. It's really odd. 3 times isn't so bad, but 4 times, boom, they just break off randomly. And we should hit the water. We should hit the water fairly okay. I do like this as a return pod. It makes a very good attach and return pod. The only thing it doesn't make a good return pod for is the fact that technically speaking, you would not be able to see what you were docking with if you were trying to dock. If you do use something like the cupola module or the Mark II cockpit, then yes, you could see, or even the airplane cockpit. I think it's not the Mark One. It's Mark II-A or something. Ooh, we're wobbly. Why are we wobbly? What's going on there? Oh, well, we're fine. It's just the ship's kind of wobbly. That's really odd. Just decided to wobble slightly. Again, that's why I do worry about time acceleration, because strange forces begin to occur. But I do like how we're landing in about 200 feet of water. I mean, it's not very deep. I'd say it's about 200 feet. It's probably even less than that. It might even be like 50 feet. But I like to give myself the benefit of the doubt. Actually, you know what? We can tell exactly how high the water is. If we look at our surface detail, our terrain altitude is 106.7 meters. So we landed in 106.7 meters or 106.8 meters of water. Is what we landed on. I'm not entirely sure what that is in feet, but it's 106 meters, which is pretty deep, I think. It's pretty deep. But of course, Yuki has survived. So I will see you guys in the VAB. Most likely I'll have the ship built because all it is a standard power generator, when I've built about 1 billion times. And then some additional components to possibly make our space station self-sufficient. Super awesome. We are also going to have to take another pilot up there because, again, we don't have anything we can use for automated transport. So because of that, we can't use probes. We still have to use living Kerbals. So we have our living Kerbals here who can see the bottom of the ocean. So yes, I will see you guys either in the VAB to show you off what we've done, or I will see you in orbit at the space station when we're plugging everything in. So I'll see you guys there. Hello everyone, and here we are back in the VAB, and as you can see, I've taken the original launch platform for the quad module, and I've removed it and added on a power module, slightly dumbed down. It has 2 of the radiator shields instead of 4. And then above that, I've added 1 living module or 1 one food module. Now, as you can see, it has 640 of 640, 640 so on and so forth. That's 640 days, I think, for 1 Kerbal. For 2 Kerbals, cut it in half. For 3 into thirds, and for 4 into quarters. So a quarter of that would be like, I don't know, a third of that would be like 200 days. So they can be up there, Kerbals can be up there for a really long time with just 1 single module. Now, I was going to bring up some rocket parts, but I'm having a little bit of a conundrum as it pertains to the rocket parts, because if we take a look at the rocket parts, I guess you can say, which is here, we have the huge one, which holds 1,000 ablative shielding and 200 rocket parts, or 2,000 rocket parts, but that one, as you can see, is very big. It is very big, and it's also very heavy. So heavy, in fact, it may need its own launch platform by itself. And I wish to design something that can carry a lot of rocket parts, so that not only can we store a lot of rocket parts, we can also have a lot of rocket parts on hand for when we want to build our stuff. Secondly, if we look at the rocket parts that are supposed to fit, that are about the same size, we have a rocket part count of about 500. Now what that means is anything larger than a very tiniest of vehicles will not be able to be built off of one of these, so we'd have to have 2 or 3 or 4 of them anyway. So I'm sort of debating a module on its own with this, where we can just use this and maybe a couple of them surrounding this, that will have all the rocket parts that we'll ever need, that we can just take up and stick to the side of the ship onto one of the empty modules, is what I'm thinking. That's going to have to wait though, but for now, as you can see, we are going to bring up some food for everybody who's going to be up there. We're also going to bring up some power, I guess, for everything, which is super duper great. We also need to choose our crew. Now, I have added everyone, I believe, who's asked. Maybe one or two people are missing. So, you know, if everybody's like, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? Don't worry. I've added everyone I know who wants to be here, but I might still be wrong. There's so many of you. So many of you, and I've used so many of you before that I'm not even sure who's goes where. So we're going to go ahead and grab some random some random impersonator, excuse me, some random person, and I think we'll take Satasha. Yeah, the name catches my eye. So we'll take Satasha. Very courageous Satasha. And it's going to need courage. They're going to need courage up there because, as you can see, our docking ship is not exactly built. I have not upgraded the docking ship in order to dock two parts like this. So this may become very complex and a very scary docking maneuver. But hopefully we can pull it off without too much difficulty. I'm hoping for not too much difficulty, but you never know. You never know. We do have enough fuel to get up there, so that's not a problem. It's just going to be a matter of making sure that we get everything in place. So, I'm not going to worry about the launch. The launch should go fine. I am, however, going to meet you guys up there at the space station in orbit, so we can attach these two modules, and then either we're going to take up a crew module, like so, or alternatively, we're going to take up our rocket parts so that we can get our rocket parts in line, and maybe then we can have some fun, because I'm having some thoughts, and these thoughts are really awesome thoughts. So, let's go ahead and, well, let's go ahead and go, and I'll see you guys in orbit, I think. Yeah, I'll see you guys up there at the space station. Alright everybody, here we are, right next to the space station, and I took a look at our orbital information, and we're only about 0.1 meters per second off from the space station, but again, we lost a little bit of our periapsis. Not sure where that's going. It's really odd that we keep losing it, but hopefully we'll be able to keep it up. I don't know. But for now, what we need to do is we need to switch over to our docking maneuvers. We need to do our our linear, and we just need to thrust over. Now, little oddball. Again, the ship is not actually designed to function this way. Well, it is, but it's not at the same time. It's not designed for this extra bit up here, and I can tell you this thing weighs about 6 tons full up, and so because of that, it is a fairly heavy design. But that's okay. We just need to attach it to one of these 4 nodes, because that is where our food is going. Looks kind of like a sword that we got here. Honestly, the way it's all set up and everything. Oop, wrong way. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it looks a little bit like a sword with a handle and everything. I didn't even realize that until just now. All right, so we're just gonna set that one as our docking node. Is the one we wish to dock with. Not doing this in chase cam actually, but that's okay. That's okay, no reason. Well, I should. I suppose I should do it in chase cam just for safety purposes, so I know which way I'm going. Oh, there we go. Oh, that'll be much better. Yeah, we can do this in chase cam, no issue. So let's go ahead and just kind of mosey on in that direction, because that is the way we need to go. Now, as you can see, we are rotating slightly because we don't have RCS thrusters way up here that can perform the left-right maneuver that we need, but we are still moving in the correct direction, which is super helpful. Downside, of course, being that we are a little off-center. Should get better once we get the 6-ton monstrosity off of us, but no guarantees that that's even going to be a thing. Alright, so we're going to come in, and then we're going to try our very best. Now, again, I don't have like I don't think I have the laser docking mode. No, I do not. So I don't have like laser docking on here. I don't have maneuver nodes for docking. None of that stuff. I'm doing this solely by the seat of my the seat of my pants. Excuse me. So and that's why I'm doing it left and right. And this is to show you guys that I have not lost the finesse of docking. I know that a lot of people out there think that if you use too many mods, you lose the ability to fly. I don't believe that. I honestly think that if you had the ability to fly, you will continue to lose power. Lights, please. Oh, there it is. Okay, so fix that problem. That was a little bright. Can we shut this one off? Lights off on that side? There you go. Okay, that's a little better. That's a little better. So yeah, I do believe that you can retain the power of flight without the mods. The mods just make it easier. They really do. The mods just make it easier. So we're just going to go ahead and manually dock this thing. We don't want to be centered. At least not perfectly centered. There we go. I want to go a little bit to the right and a little bit up. Very much a little bit up. Alright, there we go. And then we should just be able to latch on as nicely, as gently as possible. Go a little bit further that way. Okay, so we're a little off center, but it shouldn't be... Boom, perfect. Ah, look at that. Wonderful docking maneuver. So we're at 78.4 something by 71.194. So again, I feel like we keep losing a little bit of our periapsis, but apparently we haven't. Not as much as I thought we had. Now, for the purposes of this, I think I think we're going to stick the power node here. So this is really super simple. Well, let's go ahead and turn on T and see if that stops us from wobbling. I would like to stop using time acceleration for that, but sometimes time acceleration is the best way to go so that the ship just stops wobbling, you know? It's done. Alright, so there's our food module, which gives us food, water, and oxygen for 643 days. We did have to use about 11 hours of oxygen because, as you can see, we've been up here for 10 hours. And the reason why is because on the initial burn, there was a little bit of a snafu. Not a huge snafu, but a teeny tiny bit of a snafu, which caused me to have to burn... I didn't have enough fuel to do a direct burn, so we had to kind of do why am I reattached? What's going... Oh, our RCS is off. Not a direct burn, mind you, but well, I tried to do a direct burn. We almost got a burn to orbit. We almost did. Almost did. Downside is that for whatever reason it failed. Like, we came up short, so I had to loop around the planet a few times in order to get us where we needed to go. But we did make it, so we are fine. We are back where we needed to go. Am I still in chase cam? And am I controlling from the right place? Let's see. Control from here. And then it's chase cam, right? Free orbital chase. No, I'm in chase cam. Why do I feel... Wow. I feel like the camera is sideways. I'm not sure if it's the camera or if it's the ship or what, but I feel like the whole camera is sideways. Alright, now this should be a pretty easy latch on. All we have to do is mosey forward like so. And we should just be able to rotate the ship. Let's go ahead and do that now. Wrong way. Yeah, oh yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, should be able to rotate the ship, and we shouldn't smack anything, although it does look like we are a little bit short on that one. Okay, so we are a little bit short. Let's go ahead and tee up, and then we will, oh, we are backing away gently. Okay, so we are backing away gently, so we can move up a little bit faster, I think. Should come up almost right underneath it. We may be off left or right by a couple of degrees, but it shouldn't be too terrible. We shouldn't be, oh, there we go. Okay, yeah, there we go. We're off to the right, I think. No, actually, we're pretty set. The wobbliness of this is making me kind of weird about it, but this should be a pretty easy docking compared to the flip dock or the slam dock we get, or however we want to call, whatever we want to call it. The little docking maneuver I performed previously with the clamp there, or the converter there. It's actually pretty intense that we're able to do this just, you know, 1 2 1 2 done. Let's go ahead and attach. Now let's try our orbital information. I want to see how it changes. And it looks like it bounces a little bit. Yeah, so it does bounce a little bit, but we didn't lose... Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, see if we can stable out. Stable out, stable out, stable out, stable out. Whoa, whoa, what is going on here? Okay, let's let it go. Let's let it go, and then let's try again. Sometimes that's how you have to do it. You have to, like, let it go, and then start it up again, and it should work fine. Okay, wonderful. Now, we do need to open these, but we can't do it with the way we're attached. If we try to open them now, we will break off. That's not going to be a good thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to detach, and I think we'll reattach here. So that's going to be our third detach. Let's check our monopropellant. 105 out of 125. Perfect. Alright, so we'll detach there, and we're just going to... Yes, I believe I said here, right? Actually, I want to attach here, and the reason why is because I feel it would be better for us if we were to attach there. So let's go ahead and back away very gently. Rotate. We're going to rotate. And again, we're not... Okay, yeah, we're not in chase cam. That's really odd. Let's be in chase cam, please. It's like chase cam is not staying chase cam. That's really... Oh, I see. It's going to auto. It's going to auto cam. Alright, again, the space station's wobbling. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure if it's a mod or what is going on, but for whatever reason, like, the ship does not want to, the space station does not want to stay in orbit, nor does it want to act like a space station, if that makes any sense. It kind of wants to just flip out and be all weird, and I don't know why that's doing that. Linear up. Okay, so we'll linear up, and then we'll linear forward, and we're going to try to dock here, just so we can have, because we need to dock in order to maintain control of the station, and that is going to be our gig right now, is we're going to try to maintain control of the station. So one more docking, so it's going to be triple dock here. Once again, we've done docks like this before, where you dock 3 or 4 times with the same station. Not as insane as it may seem. As long as you're lined up, and what's really great about once you dock with a ship, you can undock and redock continuously, almost infinitely, without ever having to worry about, like, being off your game, because you can just dock and redock and undock and redock and so on and so forth. And everything will mostly work for you with it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Don't know what's going on there, but we're losing our ability to frames. We're losing our ability to frames. Something is happening with our frames there. Not sure what that was, but I think we're okay again. So we're going to come down nice and gentle. There we go. Yeah, my frame rate just dropped down to 12 frames per second. Not sure what just caused that. I don't know if it's Kerbin in the background, if it's the lights, if it's the number of parts. Oh, no. Okay, we're back up. We're back up. We just lost frames there for a second. That was really odd, but not insane. Should dock okay. RT, turn those off. Let everything kind of work its own way out. Oh, that's really bad. Alright, so it's not working out quite as well as I'd hoped. And we're spinning again. Okay, tee up really quick. Nice and gentle. Nice and gentle. There we go. Okay, let's turn off all the... Oh, turn on all the lights. Wow, look at all the lights on. Look at all the lights on. They're so pretty with all the lights on. Tee up again. Come on. Come on, spaceship, space station. Stay funky. Alright, now we're going to want to open these so they can radiate heat. Deploy radiator, because as you can see, they are... They are, like, generate... Oh, there it goes. Okay, so the heat is going down. That's good. So yeah, power radiated, temperature is decreased. Yeah, temperature is decreasing. So everything's going down, so that's a good sign. Frame rate's taking kind of a hit, but not because of the game. The game's running nearly perfectly, but my frame rate seems to have gone downhill really quickly. Not sure why that is, but pretty awesome. We are going to quick save because I know the station's been acting really weird and the game's been acting really weird, and you know, I get really nervous about that. But what I think we can do is we can absolutely bring Satasha home right now, straight up, no cuts, no buts, no nothing, just bring Satasha straight home, and then I think we will end when we land because we're so much closer now. We have food, we have well, power, not so much fuel, we have power, and then we have our launch platform. Now all we need is a living module, a fuel module of some kind, and the rocket parts. So once we get the rocket parts up here, we should be good to go. Now we can also leave the station lights on because, believe it or not, we now have basically infinite power. We have a lot of power. We can have power forever. So let's go ahead and detach. We're just going to go ahead and undock because our station is technically where it's supposed to be. I mean, it is in the orbit it's supposed to be in. So there's that. All right. Now we want. Okay, we are in orbit. Oh wow, we are actually heading towards our orbit. So if we just view to free cam. There we go. If we were to... Where's the planet? I seem to have misplaced it. There we go. So if we were to somehow just do this. There we go. Perfect. I should flip the ship around, though, just for safety purposes. Let's flip the ship around and just make sure we're coming in the right direction. We will do that. So let's go ahead and tee up. And then we want... Nope, not that. Not that. We want to... inclination and forward. So Satasha, you have successfully triple docked on the station. Wonderful job. We were able to add a food, water, oxygen combined module, which is a life support module is basically all it is. But we were able to add a life support module. Along with that, we were able to add a power unit, which is wonderful, and get the heat exchangers. I'll just call them heat exchangers. They're dissipators. They're radiators. They're heat radiators. I just call them exchangers because I'm weird like that. We were able to get the heat exchangers out there so that the nuclear reactor can function fully. And then next, of course, we're going to bring up a... Well... ideas. See, I'm having ideas. So that's wonderful. We may bring up... Oh, I'm going to keep it secret. I'm going to keep it secret. I have an idea of what we can bring up, and it's super secret, and it's super awesome, and I hope you guys are going to like it. I think you are going to like it. I think if it works, it's going to be super awesome. So we will try that, absolutely. But before we do that, of course, we do want to turn off our power. Well, not yet. We do want to come in. So let's go ahead and time warp up so we can come in. We're coming in kind of shallow. I always tend to bring it in kind of shallow. We're probably going to pass halfway across Kerbin before we actually come into orbit, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and bring it in at 4 times time acceleration. So yeah, I'm going to keep it secret what we're going to bring up, but we're getting so much closer. Now, I don't even know why I did this. I put this space station in a polar orbit. I don't even remember why I did that. It's just, I did it. I was just like, oh, let's just put it in a polar orbit. And it's how I've been putting, it's basically how I've been putting all my space stations forever, ever since I made space stations. I'm like, put it in a polar orbit. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's like, KB, it's a test station for a launch platform. Why did you put it in a polar orbit? And the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, why did I put it in a polar orbit? We may take the chance, a very big risk, but we may take the chance that before we get the station finished, before we use up that last docking node, we may try to force it into an equatorial orbit. May. And I say that because it would make everything so much easier if we did force it to an equatorial orbit, and I'm a little bit concerned about whether or not the ship, whether or not the station can handle an orbital conversion, and whether or not it can be as useful in its current state. Technically, it can be. Technically, it absolutely can be completely useful in its current state. It's probably going to be a lot more difficult than it would be if I put it in an equatorial orbit. And, I really should go back and look at old videos and be like, why did I decide to put it in a polar orbit again? I'm pretty sure I did it for a reason that I thought was a good reason at the time, but whatever it was, it is now completely lost on me. Whatever that reason was, I'm probably saying in the video, I'm like, oh, it's super secret, and I'm like, oh, great, KB. Now I don't even know. I tend to do that. I'm like, hey, it's a super secret thing that I found, and then it turns out that whatever the super secret thing is so super secret that even I don't know. And it's like, oh, no. But so far it's working, and if nothing else, it's a good test. And I'm pretty sure that we can, with a little bit of finesse and a lot of luck, we can adjust the orbit into. We are now officially out of fuel, and I believe we can just detach from here. We'll go ahead and kill our lights, and then we will decouple from here. Boom, done, gone. All right, yeah. So I'm pretty sure that. I'm sure there's a reason for it. I just have to figure out what it is. There's a part or a piece or a design or something that I have in my head that for whatever reason it was working just fine, and then suddenly I'm like, and it just got lost on me because I had other designs that popped up in my head. When I thought about it, I was like, oh, there's a good idea, and nope, nope, gone forever. Um, oh no, I think I know why I might have put it in a polar orbit to maintain satellite communication with an entire satellite network. That's why. Okay, yeah. That's why I put it in polar orbit. Never mind. Okay. I put it in a polar orbit so that when we want to launch satellites with the launch platform, we were able to maintain constant communication with that satellite no matter where it was around Kerbin, as long as we had visual, sight on it. That's why I put it in a polar orbit. That was probably not the best idea. Now that I think, now that I think about it, I'm thinking probably not the best idea. We can change it if we need to, but for now we'll keep it the way it is. It'll depend on a couple of our test launches because we haven't even tested to see if the thing works yet. The whole thing might explode. We don't know. Kerbals may die. Hundreds of Kerbals may die. Thousands, millions, maybe. No, not millions, but Kerbals may die. And if that happens, bad days. Bad days indeed. Alright, so it looks like Satasha's doing okay, coming on in, nice and fiery, nice and hot, but 1,000 units of ablative shielding is a lot of units of ablative shielding. Keeps the ship nice and cool, keeps everything nice and crisp. At -7 degrees, -8 degrees, it's so cold. With this heat shield up at like 383, yeah, we're coming in nice and shallow anyway. So we'll burn out the rest of the speed. Made it through about 3/4 of the heat shield. Almost 3/4, yeah, just under just over half, not just under 3/4, just over half the heat shield. So that did not end poorly at all. So Satasha, once again, wonderful work, able to dock the life support module as well as the electrical module. Next, we're going to just need a couple more parts and pieces. You thought I was going to give it away, didn't you? Nope, didn't give it away. We are going to add a couple more pieces to the space station, and if we're super lucky, it should work for us. We'll have a skeleton crew up there, do some initial testing is how we'll run that. So let's go ahead and get Satasha down here on the ground, and then once that's done, we should be fine. I'm still a little wary of this vehicle. I know that it's been fine for like the last 2 or 3 launches, the same one we've used the last three times, but since T. Harvey had that trouble with the first one, it still makes me nervous. That's why I'm still using the manual release on the docking clamp, just in case. The couplers. I'm still nervous that the ship's just going to suddenly not work and things are going to fall apart. So I still have that little, sensation in the back of my brain that I really need to release my parachutes before we all die. That something may go wrong. It's just that little in the back of my brain. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We don't need it anymore. Bye-bye. I do like how that one separates from the top. The other heat shield, strangely enough, has a bit of a bug. It's not a bug, but it decouples from the other side of the heat shield. I don't know why that is, but it decouples from the other side of the heat shield, so it doesn't let go like this one does. And our pod seems to be... Are we still coming down at like 4? No. Wow. Why is our pod tilting like that? See, again, it's this kind of stuff that makes me nervous when the pod starts acting funny like that. But it looks like... Okay, it looks like we came down okay. Just... Maybe Satasha like stored something in the back and the ship's being all wobbly weird. Okay, so it looks like it wants to come in upside down. I won't complain if it doesn't, I suppose. Satasha's being weird, okay. Satasha's like, yeah, I'm not coming in like all the other Kerbals. I'm going to come in upside down. That's right. Going to come in like a boss. So that's going to be entertaining when we finally hit the water. Let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit just to get us down there. Satasha's like, yeah, great day, great day, great day. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. So 200 meters. And I know it's kind of boring at, near the end of the video. You're like, oh, okay, it's just landing. It's nothing important. Look, the Kerbal's fine. But you never know. You never know. Weird stuff happens. I've had Kerbals die like 40 feet from, or 40 meters from the water. It's weird stuff. You never know what's going to happen. You hope nothing bad, but you never know. Alright, 90, 80. Oh, we're coming up on that magic 40 number KB just mentioned. Something bad may still happen. And, oh, look, we crossed 40 and we're fine. Maybe because all the bugs have been fixed, they've been slowly fixing bugs. Some things like parachutes exploding randomly and stuff like that have been long gone and will never appear again. But still, I've experienced it. And when you've experienced it, you're still a little wary. Alright, so we made it. Satasha's pod coming in with a 3-point upside down landing. I guess we can't complain too badly about that, but we did make it. I do love how it floats like that. It's like this little happy submarine pod. It's wee, doo, 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 doo. Anyway, so I'm pretty sure that we got a lot done this episode. We brought Yuki home. We got Satasha up there and back. We put a power module on, and we got some food up there, which is wonderful. We got a couple other things that we're going to do, but we're going to go ahead and save those until the next episode, I think, because I believe it's been roughly time. So once again, I would like to thank you all very much for joining me, 4KB Short, on this Let's Play of Kerbal Space Program, Kerbal Space Adventures, and I will see you next video.